They held the highest office in the most powerful nation on earth. In this video, we visit the graves of the greatest United States presidents. Franklin D. Roosevelt died the 12th of April, 1945, at age 63. Buried at Springwood Estate, Hyde Park, New York, in the rose garden of the family home beside his wife Eleanor. 12 years and 39 days in office across 4 terms, longer than any president before or since. The 22nd Amendment was ratified specifically to ensure no one would ever do it again. He entered office with the Depression at its lowest point and left it just 4 months before the end of the war he had managed from a wheelchair. The polio that destroyed his legs in 1921 was concealed from the public for virtually his entire presidency. The press voluntarily declined to photograph him in the chair. He died in Warm Springs, Georgia, while sitting for a portrait. The final dispatch from a president who had spent 12 years making certain the public never saw him unable to stand. The man who could not walk, buried standing in the national memory. Harry S. Truman died the 26th of December, 1972, age 88, buried at the Harry S. Truman Presidential Library, Independence, Missouri, in the courtyard beside his wife Bess. The man from Missouri who ordered the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ending the Pacific War and opening the nuclear age in the same week. A decision that killed between 129,000 and 226,000 people and has been debated by historians and moralists ever since without resolution. He integrated the United States military by executive order in 1948. The order was neither celebrated nor widely reported at the time. A quiet decision that produced a transformation the country took decades to fully absorb. He drove himself home to independence after leaving office. No security detail, no staff. A private citizen who had commanded the most powerful military in history getting behind the wheel of his own car. The man who ended one war and started another, buried in a courtyard in Missouri. The atomic age he opened, still running. Jimmy Carter died the 29th of December, 2024. Age 100, buried at the Carter home and garden, Plains, Georgia, beside his wife Rosalind beneath a willow tree on the property they had owned since 1961. The only home they ever bought. The 39th president, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, the man whose post-presidency outlasted his presidency in nearly every meaningful measure. Spending 43 years after leaving office building houses for Habitat for Humanity, monitoring elections in 39 countries, helping reduce guinea worm disease from millions of cases to fewer than 15 annually, and teaching Sunday school at Maranatha Baptist Church in Plains until age 98. He left office widely regarded as a failed president. He left life regarded as one of the finest human beings ever to hold the office. His casket, built by his own hands in his workshop years before his death, was placed beneath a wooden cross he fashioned himself. The longest living president, the longest post-presidency in American history, buried on family land in a town of fewer than 700 people beside the woman he had been married to for 77 years. George Washington died the 14th of December, 1799, age 67, buried at Mount Vernon, Fairfax County, Virginia, in the family vault on the grounds of the plantation he never willingly left behind. The general who won the revolution, the commander who refused a crown, the first president who willingly gave up power, a thing so rare in the history of republics that the world watched in disbelief. Physicians bled him of an estimated 5 pints of blood in 12 hours while trying to cure the throat infection that killed him. The medicine of his era hastening his death while attempting to prevent it. His last words were, "'Tis well." The man who built the presidency lying in a brick vault at the edge of the Potomac. The republic he helped create continuing without him before the morning was fully gone. Thomas Jefferson died the 4th of July, 1826. Age 83, buried at Monticello, Charlottesville, Virginia, in the family graveyard on the grounds of the estate he designed, redesigned, mortgaged, and never fully paid for. The author of the Declaration of Independence, the architect of religious liberty, the man who wrote that all men are created equal while enslaving more than 600 people across the course of his lifetime. The contradiction, not incidental but structural, not an exception to his principles but the organizing fact of his material life. He died in debt. Monticello was sold to pay creditors. The enslaved people at Monticello were auctioned. The man who wrote the founding promise of American equality buried on land he could not legally keep, surrounded by a life financed through human bondage. James Madison died the 28th of June, 1836, age 85, buried at Montpelier, Orange County, Virginia, in the family cemetery on the grounds of the estate where he was born and where he died without ever moving far from the place that made him. The father of the Constitution, the primary architect of the Bill of Rights, the president who presided over the burning of Washington by the British in 1814, fleeing the capital as the White House ignited, then returning to a city in ruins to hold the republic together. He died, the last surviving founding father, the final man who had been in the room when the nation was invented. Buried at Montpelier at age 85, the last witness to the founding gone. Andrew Jackson died the 8th of June, 1845, age 78. Buried at the Hermitage, Nashville, Tennessee, on the plantation grounds beside his wife Rachel, whom he loved so fiercely that he fought at least 13 duels in her defense and carried a bullet in his chest for the rest of his life, from one he did not entirely win. He was the first president from outside the original coastal aristocracy. The Tennessee frontier producing a man the established order never fully accepted and never truly controlled. He forced the removal of the 5 civilized tribes from their ancestral lands in the southeast in what became known as the Trail of Tears. Tens of thousands displaced, thousands dying on the march. The people's president buried at his plantation, the bullet still in his chest. The graves of the enslaved people who built the Hermitage nearby and unmarked. Abraham Lincoln died the 15th of April, 1865, age 56. Buried at Oak Ridge Cemetery, Springfield, Illinois, in a limestone tomb surrounded by the city that knew him before Washington ever did. Shot at Ford's Theater on April 14th by John Wilkes Booth, he died the following morning without regaining consciousness. The Union preserved, and the president who preserved it gone within days of victory. In 1876, grave robbers attempted to steal Lincoln's body and ransom it for $200,000 and the release of a convicted counterfeiter. They were caught before reaching the coffin. Lincoln's family later encased his casket in a cage of steel rods set in concrete 10 feet below the floor. The president who abolished slavery buried in a reinforced vault because the country he died for could not be trusted to leave him alone. Ulysses S. Grant died the 23rd of July, 1885, age 63. Buried at Grant's tomb on Riverside Drive in Manhattan, New York City, inside the largest mausoleum in North America. The general who won the Civil War, the president who oversaw Reconstruction and the constitutional amendments that made formerly enslaved people citizens, swindled out of nearly his entire fortune by a business partner's Ponzi scheme in 1884, he was left with nothing. Dying of throat cancer, he raced to finish his memoirs so his family would have something after he was gone. Mark Twain published the manuscript, which earned hundreds of thousands of dollars and saved the Grant family from poverty. The general who saved the Union, the president who tried to finish what Lincoln started, dying broke and in agony with a pen in his hand. The manuscript, the last thing holding everything together. James A. Garfield died the 19th of September, 1881, age 49, buried at Lakeview Cemetery, Cleveland, Ohio, in a monument that took 8 years to complete after his death. Shot by a disappointed office seeker named Charles Guiteau on the 2nd of July, 1881, at a Washington train station. Garfield survived the initial wound only to die 11 weeks later from infections introduced by physicians who repeatedly probed the bullet hole with unsterilized fingers and instruments. Alexander Graham Bell built a metal detector to locate the bullet. The device worked correctly but was frustrated by the metal springs in Garfield's mattress. The technology sound, the circumstances fatal. The president killed not cleanly by the bullet, but slowly by the doctors who tried to save him. Guiteau, at his execution, said the doctors killed Garfield, not him. Many medical historians have largely agreed. William McKinley died the 14th of September, 1901, age 58. Buried at McKinley National Memorial, Canton, Ohio, inside a domed mausoleum built by public subscription. Shot by anarchist Leon Czolgosz at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo on September 6th. The initial prognosis was optimistic. McKinley appeared to recover before gangrene set in along the bullet's path and killed him 8 days after the shooting. His wife, Ida, who suffered from epilepsy and depression, had spent their entire marriage being protected from stress by a president who would drape a handkerchief over her face during seizures at state dinners to spare her embarrassment.